just want to rap. I think he likes me.
The universe has sent you a gift.
That love you feel for your family makes you weak.
My family, that's what makes me strong.
We're really excited to talk to you today. We know that Blue Beetle is filmed for IMAX. So I was wondering, could you tell us a little bit about when you made the decision to film the movie for IMAX?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, we wanted to have the opportunity to bring to IMAX the best immersive experience that we could do for this particular movie specifically, because we know how great this type of movies look on IMAX, but we have yet to see our culture in IMAX. So I wanted to see ourselves represented in the biggest screen possible. So right off the bat, when I started working with Pavel, we knew that we wanted to shoot for IMAX.
When in the process did you start to think about which scenes you wanted to use the IMAX expanded aspect ratio in?
Yeah, we went through that process with editorial, just looking what are the best scenes that could do the IMAX pop-up that were not just action sequences. We also wanted a little bit of the other places that show like Puerto Rico and how it looks, and be able to have moments of just family intimacy and family dynamics also shown in that immersive format.
I know you mentioned that you wanted to focus on more than just the action and like also the family side of things. But are there any particular scenes in your mind that are your favorites that you were able to shoot with that extra picture for fans?
Yeah, like for me, there were I like that there's like this Mariscos Place dinner that is not an action sequence, but it's just such a beautiful day that we had that day in this beautiful location in Puerto Rico called Piñones, that it benefited a lot from getting that extra frames on the bottom and the top. And also a lot of the wonders that we have in the movie, we wanted to have that whole immersive experience, fill the whole room. And I think like the most exciting part for me that plays nicely, because it's the way we did it worked out very well, was on the transformation sequence.
Okay.
That we're inside the house, this humble Latino house, and everything looks normal, but once the scarab jumps in his face, it pops into it, so you're like right sucked into it. And it looked really, really awesome.
Yeah, I think I saw an interview piece and the cast was saying you told them to just go crazy in that scene. And they did, and everyone was on fire during that scene, and the audience was loving it. It was really great.
Yeah,
so.
I wanted them to be I described what was happening, and I said just react like you would, even if you feel slapstick.
Yeah.
I'm like, why not? Just go for it. Let's have fun, and let's make this scene that could be otherwise very horrific if it wasn't for the levity and the humor that the family brings to it.
Yeah, you definitely found so much levity and humor in the film, along with the emotional moments too, and the action. It has everything. So
It has everything for everyone.
And then speaking of that, why do you want fans to go and experience the movie in IMAX?
Honestly, because when I first saw it in IMAX, I was so blown away by how it almost covers my peripherals. You're looking at the movie like this as opposed to just here. So being able to look at everything that's happening on the frame, I think unconsciously gives you that sense of immersion. And by being immersed, I feel like you automatically feel like you're part of the action or you're part of the story. And in this case, you're part of the family. You're in it with them. And also the sound is amazing. I remember I was doing QC of it in Puerto Rico when they were doing the QC in Playa Vista, and they sent me videos of the parking lot trembling with the sound of our movie. So for me, that was kind of like what I wanted to do. It's it doesn't need to be loud, you just need to feel it. And the same thing I feel goes on with the visuals. In order to get that fully immersive experience, I think our IMAX frame is the one to go.
this reminded me of a question that I have coming up, but it was about, I read in Wikipedia that you used to be in a punk rock band.
Yeah.
And I was curious, like, did your passion for music influence how you approached the sound for the movie? And
100%.
And with IMAX too, like, you can like make your own bespoke like audio track.
Yeah.
Like, can you tell us a little bit about like how your like musical influences like inspired the way that you wanted the movie to come across with the sound?
Definitely. I wanted a lot of our soundtrack to feel like it would be a playlist that exists in every household. So if the idea was to, I made a playlist that included all the songs that each family member would listen to. And by doing so, I was able to tap into nostalgia, like music that I grew up. Also, the writer pitched in music that his family grew up with. And by doing so, we were able to bring this amazing plethora of sounds that go from, regional music or more traditional music to reggaeton, to cumbia, salsa, rock, punk. We even have Cypress Hill and Motley Crue in it, because we also consume pop culture. So and we also have a lot of great bands that might be unknown in the U.S. that resonate with everybody in Latin America. And I think all those noises that go from like garage rock to like some deep bass rap or something, I think they all influence a lot of the sounds that we were trying to do. So we wanted to give it that nostalgic vibe to it, and I think the sound helped a lot.
Yeah, and you mentioned like pop culture references, and I felt like there were a lot of references in the movie that like the fans were picking up on, and I think especially with DC movies and superhero movies, fans love to pick up on like little Easter eggs and things like that. And the cool thing when you have like the extra picture, there's more things to notice.
Correct. Like in the bug layer, for example, there's a lot of Easter eggs all over the place. And being able to open it more, you could, like, I remember when we were editing, you edited kind of like with the bars. But when we opened it, like, oh my gosh, I forgot all the stuff was there. So definitely people are going to see not just the Easter eggs, but also the amazing work that the production designer and his team was able to do.
And next, I have a question for you, which is our favorite question to ask our filmmakers, and we're opening it up. So if there was any movie that you could experience for the first time or again in IMAX, what movie is that for you?
Oh, wow. What movie could I... Indiana Jones.
Oh.
And The Last Crusade. Because that was the first movie I remember watching in the movie theater. And that was the movie that kind of like ignited my curiosity and passion for cinema. And given that it was such a transcendental experience for me as a kid, I would love to see that in IMAX.
It's funny you would say that because there were moments when because I thought of Indiana Jones and the Ride, and there were moments when I was watching Blue Beetle and I felt like I was on a ride, and I was like, Blue Beetle needs its own amusement park ride.
I hope so. That would be so great.
Right? And so, but yeah, there's definitely moments where I felt that in the film.
Yeah, we definitely played the same way that there's Easter eggs for fans of DC and comic books. There's also a lot of Easter eggs and homages to the films that made us, including Indiana Jones.
Great. And I saw you speak at a fan screening, I think it was in London, and you spoke about how the theme of this movie is family, like helping you fulfill your destiny. I was wondering, can you speak a little bit about how your family influenced your personal journey into filmmaking?
Oh, I mean, into filmmaking was a little bit hard because, of course, what my family wants was best for you. And my family might at first not understand that there is a future to be had, not only making movies, but actually following your dreams or pursuing art, for that matter. My family comes from very poor, so being able to provide education for us and protect us and give us everything they couldn't have was their main goal. So I always understood why they would protect me from any sort of different outcome that could have happened in my life. But at the end of the day, when they saw that they couldn't talk any sense to me, I felt that at the end of the day, they ended up supporting me because they were like, if we don't support him, he's going to do it on his own. And at the end of the day, without them, I wouldn't be able to be where I am today, because I don't take any of those sacrifices lightly. And that's what we aim to do with this movie, besides telling the story of Jaime and Blue Beetle and introducing this amazing character to the world as the new superhero of the first superhero of the new DCU. I wanted to make this a love letter to our family and the people that came before us that sacrificed a lot for us to be where we are, to have the life that we have. And they are heroes in their own right. So I wanted to give them that chance to shine.
Yeah, and earlier you mentioned you wanted to film the movie for IMAX because you hadn't seen a story like that in IMAX before, but now people will, and they'll feel like, hey, I can do it, and feel inspired as well.
That being able to inspire, future generations to feel empowered, to not only tell their own stories but also follow their dreams, because it is not an easy journey, but nothing worth having in life is going to be easy.
Yeah.
And the fact that I could, even from the lack of resources that I had, I was able to be where I am today and inspire people. For me, that's kind of like the biggest thing I feel I could do. Mm-hmm. More than making a movie is if somebody from a neighborhood like mine chooses to not stay on the streets and pursue the arts. For me, that's actually a win. I
wanted to ask you, what led you to casting Xolo Maridueña in the role, and what are you excited for fans to see from his performance?
So when I met Xolo a couple years ago at Sundance, and I think he had done just one season of Cobra Kai, but he was introduced to me as this upcoming actor, but because I never saw him perform, I was really blown away by his persona, by who he was outside of the camera. He was very charming, super smart, well-versed, but at the same time, very much his age. And the love that he has for his family, he's always with his family. And he also has martial arts background. So when I get the opportunity to direct this movie and they ask me who did I want to cast for the role of Jaime Reyes, it was a no-brainer that I wanted somebody like Xolo, because not only does he look like a copy-paste of Jaime Reyes in the comic, he also embodies in his own life the characteristic that makes Jaime so special. So all of that combined just made it really easy. So at the end of the day, when people see Xolo being Jaime, for me, it was really hard to see them apart, because the way he relates with his family in the movie is the same way Xolo relates with his family in real life. So I think they're gonna get a very honest and authentic kid who is trying to find his place in the world and who ends up being the hero when nobody else was willing to step up for his family. And for me, having that journey, well, he doesn't shy away from his family or from who he is, but again, he embraces it and he lets them be part of that formation. For me, that is what I hope people take away from it.